Welcome to today's lesson, Hoophouse Greenhouse. We're going to learn a lot today. We will learn about the relationship between soil temperature and plant growth. We'll learn about the greenhouse effect. And we'll also learn some new vocabulary that will help us to understand and describe our world. Our first word is seasons. And we all know what the seasons are: winter, spring, summer, and fall. How we define seasons is a period of the year characterized by different weather patterns. Make sure to write down seasons in your garden journal and write that what makes seasons different is their different weather patterns. Our next word is climate. The climate is the general weather conditions in an area over a long period of time. Write down in your garden journal what you think our climate is like here. I would say our climate is pretty mild. We don't get snow, and it gets hot, but not as hot as other places. We have a nice climate. A related word is weather. The weather is how the atmosphere is behaving throughout the day, and it can change often. Each day the weather is a little bit different, but our climate stays the same over time. Microclimate. Let's break that down into its two parts. Micro represents things that are really small, like microscopic. And climate, we just learned, it has to do with weather patterns over a long period of time. So, a microclimate is the climate of a very small area, like under a rock or on top of a tree. Our next word is greenhouse. Don't forget to write it down. A greenhouse is a clear building that traps heat and protects plants from pests and the cold. I'm sure you've seen them before, but maybe you didn't know what they do. They're really important for keeping plants healthy and warm and keeping the temperatures in a smaller range so that plants aren't exposed to extreme heat or cold. Our last word is greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is when the sun's warmth gets trapped in the lower atmosphere of the earth. If you've heard this term before, you might know that the greenhouse effect can be really problematic. When we think about it in the context of our whole entire planet warming up, that can cause big changes around the world. But when we think about the greenhouse effect only affecting something small, like a greenhouse, it can be great to protect our plants. We're going to take a minute and try and connect some of our concepts today through the example of soil temperature and plant growth. Plants need a specific temperature in the soil to grow at their best capacity. You can see in our picture here that the plants in the middle are doing really well with strong root systems and tall plants, but the ones in the more extreme temperatures aren't doing so well. So if we want our plants to be happy, we have to grow them in the perfect climate for them. Sometimes we use greenhouses to reach that goal and to bring the temperature up a little bit. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, sometimes it's too hot because the greenhouse effect affecting our earth right now is heating things up, and plants don't do as well if it's too hot for them. Time for our activity. We're going to see what's happening in the garden with Dylan, and he's going to lead us in our own seed-starting greenhouse activity that you can do at home.
Hello everybody, Dylan Jones here with One Cool Earth, joining you on this chilly day at Laguna Middle School. And over the next month, I'm going to be taking you through the challenge boxes. So let's head on over and open up the box and see what's inside. All right, so our first activity, let's open up the box and see what's inside. So again, today's activity is going to be the mini greenhouse, and so what we'll need is our little baggie of soil, our little spray bottle, our container. Your container might be a little different than mine, but that's okay, it still works the same. And then our little seed packet. We'll put this to the side. And first step is taking our container, opening our little baggie of soil, and we're going to fill this almost to the top. Not quite, but you can leave just a little bit of room. And there's step number one. So now that we have our little container full of soil. I'm gonna take my seeds, and I have some snow peas here. You might have some different seeds, but it's okay. All grow the same. So I'm gonna take 2 seeds out just to be sure that our plant is gonna grow. And when you plant them, you can just kind of push them into your soil. Now I'm going to push them in as far as my first knuckle. If you have smaller fingers than I do, you might want to go to your second knuckle, but put them in your first knuckle and that should work. And then we can spray a little water on them so they're nice and moist. Just 2 or 3 squirts will work, and that's step number 2. And our last step for this activity, nice and simple, we're going to take our container, gently, be gentle with it, and we're going to slide it into our little greenhouse, our little plastic bag, and then we're going to zip it up. You don't need to zip it up all the way, but you can if you want. Make a note in your garden journal. And there we go, our nice little greenhouse. So some of you observant gardeners might notice that peas can grow very tall very quickly, and our little greenhouse might not let them grow as tall as they want to. So here's the time for you to really put on your engineering hats and figure out different ways that you might be able to improve your greenhouse. One thing that I'm going to do, I found this nice little stick in the garden. So I'm going to put this in my container, and then I'm going to stand my little plastic bag straight up and down. So this way, with my little support beam in here, the peas have these little tendrils that help them hold on to different plants again, or sticks, and help them grow vertically and not kind of fall onto the ground. So you notice that I grabbed a stick that I just found in our garden here at Laguna Middle School, but there's other materials you can use. Again, here's another branch that I found. This is a landscape staple, so something to hold landscape fabric down, or we've used string to tie around the bottom to help hold up the bag again. So this part is entirely optional, but if you find that you need a little extra challenge in your mini greenhouse design, I encourage you to look for these different materials that might improve your greenhouse. And last but not least, now that we have our container completed, our mini greenhouse completed, we're going to take the garden journal that you decorated. Here's my example. And we are going to put the date that you planted your seeds and what kind of seed. So I had snow peas, so I'm going to put the date is September 14th for me today. And I'm going to put planted snow peas. Now every 2 days you're going to want to check on your plants, make sure you get them a spray or 2 of water, and make observations in your garden journal. Happy planting. So as you're finishing up your mini greenhouse, think about some different things that help plants grow, like the soil and maybe their climate, their environment around them. But take a quick look at our greenhouse here at Laguna Middle School. See if you see anything to inspire you into how you can design your mini greenhouse. And thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week.